Hello everybody, Julia here from Just One More Card, and today I want to show you a project using new stamps by Pretty Pink Posh, which were released in collaboration with Simon Says Stamp for the Stamptember celebrations. So this is the stamp set. It's called, I think, Winter Bird Friends. It says Winter Bird Friend, exactly. And you can see you have this chick, and then you have different hats and scarves and sentiments that you can use to create a card. I also used this older die from Pretty Pink Posh, the film strip die, which actually cuts out completely out of whatever paper you're using. So this is the piece that you get. I cut it out twice and then used some tape on the back side here. Here you can see it hopefully, to put it back into place. But I just like the stitching and the openings. I'm arranging all the elements of the stamp set that I'm going to be using on my paper inside of my MISTI. You don't need to use a MISTI at all. You can use your regular acrylic block. This was just the easiest and quickest way for me to do this. I'm stamping this with My Favorite Things black licorice hybrid ink because that works well with Copic markers as well. You can see here it didn't stamp perfectly immediately, so all I need to do now is simply to go back, ink up the stamps again, and close the lid of the MISTI. And since I didn't move my paper inside of the MISTI, it will stamp perfectly into position again. There we go. It happens to me quite often that I don't have a perfect first impression, so this really saves me a lot of work. Now for the coloring, I stamped on watercolor cardstock, but I'm using Copic markers here. And the reason for that is that you can very easily blend on watercolor cardstock when you use Copic markers. Of course, you have to be aware that it feathers a bit more, so the ink spreads a little bit further than on Copic friendly paper. But other than that, it's very easy to blend colors, and I just find it very relaxing to do this because I don't have to work so hard to get the colors to blend nicely. And then the very end, I'm using my colorless blender here to make sure that I have a soft gradient from the color to the white, because I'm not going to color the entire chick. I wanted to keep this very light and simple. Actually, my first Copic marker, the colorless one, had run out of color, so I needed to go back with another one. And I'm just doing very easy Copic blending. I'm going to be listing the colors in the video description below or on my blog post, as well as all the other supplies that I'm using, so make sure to check that out. Some people keep asking me about certain supplies, and usually I do list everything on the blog or in the video description below, so please check that before writing me an email. Because I get a lot of emails, so it's not always easy for me to reply to everything, especially if I've already answered the question somewhere. And I'm going to repeat the same coloration process on all the chicks that I'm going to be using on this card, going from dark yellow to light yellow, using some flicking motions to make sure I have a soft transition already, and then using my colorless blender to make sure that the transition is even softer. Of course, since this is a Christmas or winter card, I wanted to make sure that I have some Christmas colors in there, so I needed some red and green. And I colored some of the scarves and hats in red and the others in green, just using very easy blending from dark red to light red, and here from dark green to light green. Trying to add some folds here into the hat so it looks a little bit more interesting. And here on the scarf, I'm also trying to add some shading using various shades of green, trying to going from dark to light. I had my brother's scan and cut machine cut these out for me. They come with matching dies. I just didn't have them yet because the design team got these stamps a little bit ahead of time. And I'm using this snow marker by Ushida. I'm also going to link to this. Just started on a piece of scratch paper and then carefully added this fluid into the areas of the image where it would be white and puffy. You know, when you have I don't know, like white fleece or white fur or whatever in those hats and scarves. Just adding this here very carefully so I will stay somewhat inside of the lines. It's a very runny liquid in this stage, and what I'm going to do then is, after I have applied it, I'm going to use my heat gun to heat set it, and the stuff will kind of start to kind of boil, and it will become dimensional. I think you can see that here even a little bit. You have to be very careful not to do this too much, so it won't burst. It will just start becoming larger and larger, and then it will just pop. So I'm not sure if you want to go for that look. So you have to be careful when you do this. So just do it gently and carefully, and don't burn your fingers in the process, because I did with mine. I'm trying to do this a little bit away from me. Next up, I traced the openings from the die cut panel that I showed you in the very beginning onto my card base, because I want to add a little bit of a background here, because otherwise the chicks will be just white on white or light yellow on white, and that would not look that great. So I'm just using a dauber here and some tumbled glass distressing. It's a very light blue distressing, and very carefully sponging in my background. And I say carefully because I don't want to oversaturate it immediately. You can always add more color, but you can't really take it off again. And I wanted to make sure that I have a very soft gradient towards white. So I'm removing my masking tape here, and you can see that it's just where I needed it to go. And then before I adhere my panel, I'm placing it on top of this card base here. I'm going to hold it in place with one of the magnets here. And then I'm trying to figure out which of the sentiments will fit into this tiny window. And I'm going to end up using the Merry Christmas one, using versified ink, or actually I'm using Happy Holidays, because that one fits even better. There we go. That's the Happy Holidays one. And then I'm putting down this panel. I put some foam tape behind it, trying to measure it so it's going to be straight, because usually it's always crooked. Yeah, I usually trim it down later on. And then I'm using some foam tape behind the chickies as well to adhere them into the openings. I could not have fit more chickies on this card, seriously. There we go, adhered them. And then I'm using some Tombow Mono glue, because when it squeezes out to the side, this glue dries clear, or at least non-glossy, so it's not that visible. And then I'm adding all the accessories to the chickies, so the scarves and the hats. There we go. And of course, it wouldn't be a Pretty Pink Posh card without sequins, so I'm adding some sequins here as well. I'm using the 3mm clear one and the small gold star confetti, because I just felt that is very Christmassy. So here's the finished project, nice and sparkly and very, very happy and kind of silly, but nice. Here's the sentiment, and I added some white dots into the chickies as well, just for interest. I also sprayed the background before I adhered the panel with some Perfect Pearls Mist to add some shine to it. And here's a close-up of that puffy stuff, of that snow marker that I added onto the hat. And it just gives a little bit of dimension. It's a really interesting thing because you don't see it quite that often. Obviously, because it's just a Christmas thing, mostly. And here's the entire card. I hope you've enjoyed this project. If you would like to purchase the stamp set, because it's only available in limited quantities, please follow the link below that will take you to Simon Says Stamp. And if you want to learn other tutorials with Pretty Pink Posh stamps, check out these two here and subscribe to my channel, please. Catch you again soon, guys. Bye-bye.